The state knocked out one land bridge and put in drainage through the other. So firefighters aren't allowed to use poles anymore for safety reasons. These days, there's a lock on the door and an eviction notice from December. Clients say Hesbrook stopped answering their calls altogether. Some even traveling on foot through multiple countries. And for them, this meal is a symbol of that American dream they came for. We do know that one elderly man was found dead in this mobile home. Right now, I have La Jolla PD Lieutenant Manny Casas here. Walk us through what happened. Think of it like bricks, okay? So you want to stack them. See how this is right on top of this line right here? That's important because if you have them like this, water can seep through these cracks right here.
Please remain calm. Help is on the way.
Border Patrol says this is one of their most important pieces of equipment. This is how migrants are protecting themselves, with these blankets on the fence blocking the wind. So that would have meant if you were wanting to mail something from Mission to Harlingen, it would have actually gone from Mission up to San Antonio, back down to Harlingen. First, it was the calls.
And we had also been receiving at least a couple of calls on the phone, you know, talking about our display of flags outside and signs.
Then it was the letter.
We hadn't experienced something like that here.
Patricio Hernandez has operated Grande Garbage Collection for 44 years. As a private business, he shows support for the Democratic Party on his property. He says it was never an issue until the phone rang last week. Then days later, on a Tuesday night, as a surveillance camera records right outside the doors of the business.
So he walks over here, he posts that flyer on the front door. He walks back to his vehicle and I guess takes off.
Someone in a mask and baseball cap taped a xenophobic letter to their door. The letter calls their signs propaganda and says in part, quote, "This is a Republican state," and "Go back to Mexico where you came from." Hernandez was born in Mexico. He became a U.S. citizen at 10 years old.
And I've been here ever since. You know, I've been part of this community. I went to college. I served in the Border Patrol for 21 and a half years. And we're providing a quality service to the community here. This is a country of opportunity, and I'm an example to that.
Hernandez reported the incident to Rio Grande City Police, hoping to prevent it from escalating any further.
We currently have an investigation open. It's very unfortunate that somebody would take the time to go do that just because you don't agree with somebody's political views.
Police tell us they are still determining what kind of charges the person would face. While they search for a suspect, Hernandez has this message, not only for the person who targeted them, but everyone.
But we don't need to get nasty about that. At the end of time, we're still going to have to live together here as friends and neighbors. And so let's keep the tone a little low, you know, that we don't need to do this.
Tonight in Starr County, border wall bollards lie in rows on a ranch near La Casita. The state land office bought it for nearly $4 million last month. Commissioner Don Buckingham says the sale was to avoid eminent domain.
We were approached by the Facilities Commission. They had a landowner that was not only blocking law enforcement access to the property, but also the building of the wall.
And that project is already starting to take shape. This 1.5-mile wall is about a 5-minute walk from the Rio Grande. And as this goes up, Commissioner Buckingham is now offering this ranch to help carry out mass deportations.
And if they do need a detention and deportation facility, boy, do we have a place for them.
In a letter sent yesterday, Buckingham offered to lease the land to the incoming Trump administration. They would be allowed to put a detention center on the ranch to hold migrants who would be deported. What would it look like, this facility?
Well, we are happy to partner up with the Trump administration and have them tell us what they would like to do. I would anticipate it would be more of a temporary type facility.
This man, who didn't want to show his face, has lived right on the edge of that property for nearly 50 years.
In the middle of the night, people will cross through here, and it would be a hazard for us because we don't know what kind of people are crossing.
He tells us he welcomes the project.
Because they probably minimize the crossing, and we can all get a little relief from that.
Today, Buckingham said her office hasn't heard back from Trump's team. She told us if they reject the offer, they'll continue leasing out the land for farming. The morning sky over Isla Blanca is always a sight to see. But today, thousands saw a dream come true.
That was the most beautiful thing I've seen in my life.
Today, SpaceX Starship Super Heavy took flight from Boca Chica Beach for the second time, a launch that people like high school sophomore Chase Owen from Louisiana had been waiting a lifetime and a days-long drive to see.
Was it worth it?
Absolutely, every single second. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to be involved in this.
Best friends Araya Janish and Trenton Harris traveled too.
I kept on telling my dad, are we there yet?
They took the 5-hour trip from Belleville with Janish's dad. It's something 8-year-old Janish will never forget.
I like the part when one part blowed up.
And for 10-year-old Harris, who wants to work for SpaceX one day, it was a step toward his dreams.
I like the fact that how big it is.
After a few minutes of awe and an explosion of the booster, the large crowd at Isla Blanca lost sight of the rocket. So what comes next? The SpaceX team will be hunting for that debris in the Gulf to figure out what kind of changes they can make ahead of the next launch. We don't quite know when that next launch will be, but one thing is for sure, these dedicated fans will be back.